Howdy. So I decided to take it outside today. It's such a beautiful day outside, and it's supposed to snow in a few days. So wanted to make sure I got outside and got some good weather. All right. So excited. Every time we get a new hygienist, it's so exciting because you guys add such a good dynamic to the office. You guys have so much control over how the patients feel about the office and everything, and a really good hygienist does great. So here is just a general overview of what happens with every single patient that comes through the office and how we ensure that everything happens. So by now you've probably watched and appreciated our video on how checklists make everything so powerful and create less casualties in the dental office. And this is one way that we make that happen. So every time that a patient is scheduled for you, before they come to the appointment, you'll see here prior to the appointment, everybody that's the masters of the universe is how we like to call them, but anybody at the front desk who's going to be calling to confirm the patient is going to be going through these things before the patient shows up. So they're going to see, are they eligible for pano and x-rays? And if they are, they're going to mark that down in the chart to be able to be taken that day. If they have any balances on their account, we'll be able to make notes of where that's from so that you'll be able to have a general idea if they owe money or not. If they have any pending treatment or if they're due for a recall, it's just kind of a general thing. So like if they're coming in for a cleaning and they scheduled in for a filling last time, but then they had to cancel and then they forgot about the filling that they needed. So we can see, hey, we're calling to confirm them for tomorrow. They're coming in for a cleaning. Hey, they forgot to get a filling. Do we have time to do that and accomplish that filling tomorrow at the same time? So that's a great place to make that note. And then when they call to confirm, if the patient says, yeah, so I'm coming in for my cleaning, but I did have a tooth break a couple weeks ago. I was kind of putting it off because I knew I was coming in for my cleaning. This is a great place for them to write down those notes. So then they'll confirm the time, the day, and the provider. Because if we have multiple dentists, multiple hygienists, they're going to make sure that you'll be seeing X dentist, X hygienist tomorrow. There are a few patients that get really particular about the dentist and the hygienist they see. And so this is a place for them to make sure that we confirm with them on that. So this is a good place for you to look as you go to receive the patient from the waiting room. This is a great place to see if they have any balances, if they have any pending treatment, or if they have any concerns so that you know without the front desk telling you or the masters of the universe telling you what needs to be done, you'll be able to get a good glimpse of that right here. Next, when they come in to the office, the masters of the universe and the people at the front desk are going to make sure that they update the necessary info, make sure their mailing address is right, and they're going to go through all of these things: social security numbers, birth dates, copies of driver's license, copy of insurance card, etc., to make sure they have all of this in the computer, and then they'll mark down in Open Dental that they are ready to go, and then this is where the hygienist comes in. 99% of everything you guys know, and how to treat patients, and this is definitely not to step on how you like to do things, but it's just a good task list for us to go through to make sure that everything is accomplished that needs to get done. And at first you're going to be using it a lot, and then later on you won't have to refer to it as much, but you'll have to refer to it every patient every time to make sure that everything is completed. But it just become more second nature as time goes on. So first thing that we'll want to try and do is take needed x-rays. Main reason for this, if they're due for a pano, we kind of want to take that on the way back rather than going to the chair, then going back to the panel, going back to the chair. We want to try and avoid as much of that as possible. So you want to make sure you take the x-rays that they need on the way back. You'll escort and seat the patient after you've taken the needed x-rays, and then you'll make sure that the picture for the patient is taken. So you'll have a little camera that you'll be able to take the picture and then upload it into their chart. Then you'll mark the patient as in the operatory. And back to the picture thing, this is sometimes you can take this picture other places in a more friendly spot rather than in the chair with the bib on, etc. You mark them as in their operatory. You'll update all the medical history in the notes, take blood pressure on every patient, record in the notes, make sure that that's written down. You record any chief complaints and you'll put the picture on the screen. For instance, Mrs. Jones did break a tooth a couple weeks ago. That she came in and she says, yeah, I broke this tooth. I really need to get my teeth cleaned. This is a good part where every tooth that we'll possibly work on, or anybody that has a tooth that they might need a filling on, or they chipped or broke or hurts, we definitely want to try and get a PA of that tooth. And so We can get a PA of that tooth and then also an intraoral picture of that tooth so that we can put that up on the screen to be able to make sure that we show them. You'll record all their existing restoratives and make sure that their chart is up to date. If it's a kid, that all the primary teeth that have been lost since last time are entered in, if all the permanent teeth are in, whether they're partially erupted, etc. Make sure that's all done. And this for a new patient, just record all the existing restorative that's in there. So then you'll tell the patient what you see and what the doctor will review. So you'll tell the patient, hey, I do kind of see, and once again, this is something where you're not diagnosing, but you definitely know 99% of the time what we are going to do and what the patient does need, but you're going to leave some window of how do I say it? You're just going to leave a large variety of things that might be done for the patients. You're not going to tell them exactly what they need because the dentist will be able to make sure they do that, but you're going to give them a good indicator that at least something is going to be done and that the doctor is going to talk to you about it. So, if the patient says, yeah, I chipped a tooth a couple months ago, then you can see that tooth that's chipped, and then you'll be able to make sure that the patient says, hey, I see that tooth, it's broken. A lot of times I see the doctor, he'll either do a crown or a filling. It's really bad, you need a root canal. But there's a lot of different options. If the patient says, well, what do you think? Say, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. The doctor will tell you. So that's the type of conversation that you'll take. And then also you'll make sure that the doctor doesn't take care of this soon, it might blank. So if you do see a chipped tooth or you see a cavity or something like that, it's always good to make sure that the patient knows what happens if I don't do anything. Dentists, for some reason, aren't very trusted sometimes, and this is a great way for you to be able to prep the patient for what the dentist might be saying. For some reason, hearing it out of your mouth means a lot more, and you guys do have a lot of persuasion in how a patient thinks and how they act, what type of treatment they get, and so always be mindful of what the best thing is for the patient and make sure that you help them understand that. So you'll say, oh, if doc doesn't take care of this soon, it might blank. And then you're going to make all these notes in the exam sheet. And then this is another separate video of how to fill out the exam sheet that you can review. But once you've gone through that video, then you can give that to the DDS. So you'll have done x-rays and a complete exam before you even start doing your cleaning. And this gives the chance for the doctor, for you to give the exam sheet to the doctor, and it gives them a time, instead of just trying to see the patient right at the very end of the appointment, then you can be able to give the doctor a lot of flexibility so that the patient doesn't have to wait. There's nothing more frustrating for the patient, sometimes for the hygienist, than when you're done with the cleaning right away, and then you're like, I need the doc, and then the doc's got to finish the filling or finish a root canal or something, and then the patient's waiting and you're waiting and putting you behind. This helps a lot of the flow to go a lot easier. So that way the dentist can come and see the patient even before sometimes the cleaning is done. So that way it's done on the dentist schedule more than on the patient's schedule. But doing that allows for the patient to be able to be seen and then get out of there. It also keeps you on time. So that's what that does. And you'll perform the prophy, the sealants, or the fluoride, whatever the patient might need. You'll record the needed treatment. You'll reorder with the DDS. So at this point, at some point the doctor is going to come in. You'll record everything that he says. Excuse me. And then you'll go from there. If it's something that the patient wants to try and get done that day, then we'll want to inform the masters of the universe up front. Hey, the patient's thinking about getting this done today. We're going to want an estimate to know how much it is, so the patient knows what their portion is going to be when they leave that day, because all the treatment will be paid for at the time it's rendered. Then you'll add all the procedures to be formed in Open Dental. So you'll make sure that everything's completed, and then you'll assign the correct provider for the exam and the hygiene. Under Open Dental, you'll see there's 2 spots for you to enter that in, so you'll do that. You'll set the procedures as complete, and then you'll schedule their next recall. This is really, really important. In a lot of rural locations and other places, sometimes the patients don't get scheduled before they leave. And as a busy dad with, business and 5 kids, oftentimes I really don't know my schedule 6 months in advance. And it becomes kind of a challenge to schedule that, but it's something that we really want to make sure that every patient that leaves has an appointment to come back. That goes with every patient that comes through to get a filling, everybody that comes to patient to get a cleaning. Everybody should have an appointment to come back because they always need constant care. Dentistry, our bills, they're all constant. And so we always need to make sure that we do make sure they have an appointment to come back. So you'll make sure that you schedule the next recall. And this is one number that we schedule a lot now, or not schedule. This is one number that we track a lot to make sure that patients are coming back. And this helps us to know if patients are being retained, if you're treating them correctly, and everything else. This is a good indicator for that. So you'll make their next appointment for the next 6 months or 3 months, whatever recall they're on. You'll give them the appointment card, you'll give them the goodie bag, and then you'll walk the patient up to the front desk. At this point, this is a great way for us to be able to make sure that you, the masters of the universe, and the patient are all on the same page. So that way when the patient gets up and they go to leave, then you say, to the master of the universe, you'll say, so, Miss Jones, we had Miss Anderson here. She got her teeth cleaned. We did x-rays. We did a filling. We did a pano. We did sealants. We did fluoride. Whatever you did, you'll say it out loud. So whatever you set complete, you'll say out loud, this is what we accomplished today, and then I do have her scheduled to come back. In the event that you're falling behind, sometimes that task will turn from the hygienist to the master of the universe to be able to make sure that the patient flow keeps happening. So if you don't have time to schedule them, you want to make sure that they get scheduled. If they don't get scheduled, you'll say, so Mrs. Jones didn't want to schedule. She's, leaving to China on a mission and she won't be back for, a year or something like that. Or she's, had a denture and she's going to come back on an annual recall or whatever it is. You can say a reason why she wasn't scheduled. So that way the front desk personnel, so the masters of the universe don't go through and try and get them to schedule again. So you'll definitely want to say, but this is a great way for you to hand off the patient. So Mrs. Anderson had cleaning and filling and fluoride treatment done today. We set that complete, and then I've already had her scheduled to come back, so she's good to go. And so that way, the patient and you and everybody hears that. You'll make sure that you complete your clinical notes in Open Dental. Then you'll turn over your room and get ready for the next patient. So this is also a good place to write down if the patient wasn't scheduled, or if you didn't have a reminder card and you need to get them a reminder card. This is a great place for you to write down more details of when they're going to be coming back. Oftentimes too, for the hygienist, if they need to come back if they need to be scheduled for treatment to be completed, say like fillings or extraction or something like that, this is the place to be able to write that down. So you can write down the details here. So for instance, if a patient needs to come back and have number 3 extracted, you can write down number 3 EXT as the next appointment. And then at this point, you can go up to the front and you say, we did a cleaning, a filling, and fluoride today, and Mrs. Anderson is going to come back to have her upper right tooth taken out. Because to the patient, number 3 isn't going to probably mean much, but the upper right where it's hurting, she knows that's where it's coming. Just getting the upper right tooth taken out, and that way the master of the universe will be able to schedule that. So once again, if the master of the universe is really busy, then this will fall on the hygienist to schedule for the dentist. And we have another training on how to schedule for for the doctor. So you'll do the clinical notes, turn over the room. These notes is for masters of the universe. And then this is something that the front desk are going to do. So they have to attain a verbal treatment from Perform and the needed from you. So this is the first thing that's on their list, is to make sure that they hear from you what was done and what is going to be accomplished in the future. They'll review the treatment plan order. They'll make sure that procedures are posted correctly in the ledger. And they're going to go through a lot of things and double check to make sure the correct provider, the correct procedures are done. If they have insurance, they're going to send it out, make sure they have all the needed x-rays. They're going to collect the out-of-pocket. They're going to print out a walkout statement, schedule the appointment that's needed to come back for. If patient doesn't schedule, this is a great place for us to be able to know why they didn't schedule. They give the patient the appointment card and movie ticket card, explain there, and then that's if we're running really behind. They'll create the claim, attach the x-rays, printing narrative, send it off. So a lot to go through. This section obviously is where you're going to be residing a lot. This is what you're going to be mainly accountable for. But it's good to know what is happening before the patient comes to you, what's going to be happening afterwards, so that way if anybody ever needs any help, that you'll be able to jump in and help them out. So hopefully that helps out and doesn't get you too confused on how it'll go, but hopefully it'll give you a good flow of how and the type of tasks that we'll be responsible for in the office.